Hi, complex numbers number 2, Cartesian and polar form. Given the complex number v equal to root 3 plus I, first part, find the polar form of v, that is r e to the I theta, where r and theta are real. Part 2, find v squared using polar form and convert it to Cartesian form. Part 3, calculate v squared using Cartesian form and show the result is equal to the result in 2. Let's begin with part 1, in which we need to write the polar form of the Cartesian form given. So what we do here is we have v is equal to root 3 plus I, and to make this polar form we need to find out the magnitude of the complex number, which is actually the real part squared plus the coefficient of the imaginary part squared. So in this case, real part squared is root 3 squared plus coefficient of I is 1, and also we need to take the square root of whole thing to find the magnitude. So which is equal to root 3 times root is 2 plus 1 square root equal to 2, which is actually r. And now we need to find out theta. Theta is the argument of this one. So if I say tan theta is equal to the coefficient of I divided by the real term root 3 is the tan theta. So if you want to find theta, which is equal to tan inverse 1 over root 3. So this one, from our first principles of trigonometry, we know that tan inverse 1 over root 3 is equal to pi by 6 is 30 degrees angle. So now we can write, therefore v in rectangular form we can write is as r e to the I theta, where r is equal to 2, we found it here, and e to the I pi by 6. That's the answer to the first part. Now come to the second part, in which we need to find out v squared. V squared using the polar form. So the polar form what we got was 2 e to the I pi by 6. So what we need to do is take the square of that one. When you take the square, 2 will become 2 to the power 2 e to the power I pi by 6, plus when you square this one, basically we add this one again, is I pi by 6. That means 4 e to the power I pi by 3 is the answer in polar form. And if you translate this back to rectangular form, this will become 4 times cos theta means pi by 3 now, pi by 3 plus I sine theta, that is pi by 3. And we know this is cos 60, 180 divided by 3, 60 is equal to half, and sine 60 is equal to root 3 by 2. This also from our first principles. Therefore, we can say this one 4 times half plus I root 3 times 2 which is equal to 2 times 1 plus I root 3. That is the value of b squared in rectangular form or Cartesian form. And now in the third part is to make use of the Cartesian form and find out the value of b squared. So the Cartesian form given for v is equal to root 3 plus I. If you want to find v squared, what you do is we multiply root 3 plus I by itself, root 3 plus I. So now we expand this one. Root 3 times root 3 is 3 plus root 3 times I is I root 3. I times root 3 is I root 3 again, and I times I plus I times I. I is actually a complex number, which is the square root of 1 minus 1. This is the definition. And if you want to find I times I, what you need to do is minus 1 square root times square root of minus 1, which is equal to square root of minus 1 square. So if you take the square root out, this square out, this will become negative 1. So basically this value is equal to negative 1. Therefore the answer is 3 plus I root 3 plus I root 3 equal to 2 I root 3. This one become negative 1. So that means 2 plus 2I root 3. You take 2 out, become 1 plus I root 3. This is the answer we obtained in similar to part 2 answer what we got before. That's what we had to prove here, so we proved that one.